Good afternoon, I'm Diki Hermawan, Master Student at Institute of Psychology and Education, Kazan Federal University. On this occasion, I would like to present the first topic of the big theme of our subject discussion, Formation and Development of Pedagogical Education in Indonesia. In this video, we focus on discussing historical and pedagogical stage and characteristic of the formation and development of higher school teacher education in Indonesia. Ready? Let's get started. Historical and pedagogical stage and characteristic of the formation and development of higher school teacher education in Indonesia. The history of teacher education in Indonesia has actually started since the 10th century and continues to grow until present. Historically, the formation and development of teacher education in Indonesia is divided into 5 phases, including the first phase, the pre-colonial period; second phase, the colonial period; the third phase, the old order period; the fourth phase, the new order period; and the fifth phase, the Reformation period. First phase, the development of Indonesian teacher education in the pre-colonial period. The first phase, the development of teacher education in Indonesia, occurred in the pre-colonial period. This phase occurred from 900 to 1600 after destiny. At this time, Indonesia was still in the form of large empire that took turns controlling the Indonesian archipelago. This kingdom includes the Sriwijaya kingdom, which reigned from 900 to 1100 after destiny, the Majapahit kingdom, which ruled from 1100 to 1400 after destiny, and the Mataram kingdom, which reigned from 1400 to 1600 after destiny. Uniquely, these great kingdoms have different backgrounds and style. The Sriwijaya kingdom is a Hindu kingdom, the Majapahit kingdom is a Buddhist kingdom, and the Mataram kingdom is an Islamic kingdom. The development of teacher education in the first phase also has similarities and differences that are unique from one another. The same thing from the teacher education in that phase was educating teachers to be able to become a religious teacher and social leader for the people. The differences from teacher education in this phase was clearly the difference in religious teaching stuff. The next differences is the difference in the pedagogical style and designation for different higher school teacher during the three kingdoms. During the Sriwijaya kingdoms, teacher education, higher school teacher education institution were called Kadewa Guruan, and teachers were called Biksu. During the Majapahit kingdom, higher school teacher institution were still called Kadewa Guruan, but the teachers were called Empu. In this Majapahit kingdom, higher school teacher education also began to teach another educational subjects such as literature and public development. During the Mataram kingdom, higher school teacher education institutions changed their names to pesantren, and teachers received new titles, namely Kiai. During the Mataram kingdom, higher school teachers were also taught philosophy and economy, so that the teacher's role in his time made him able to truly lead the community. However, even though in Indonesia there has been a change of power from a kingdom that has a different religious style, the three religions can live together in peace and respect each other. The ruling kingdom does not destroy the historical and cultural heritage of the previously ruling kingdom. It is also the result of this succeeded in the producing moderate and tolerant teachers so that it can build a peaceful and tolerant society. Second phase. Next, the second phase, the development of teacher education in Indonesia occurred during the colonial period. The Indonesian people have been colonized society for 350 years, from 1600 until 1945. Indonesia was colonized by Kingdom of the Netherlands. The development of higher school teacher education in Indonesia during the colonial period was divided into two stages. In the first stage is the first 290 years of the colonial period, and the second stage is the last 60 years of the Dutch colonial period. In the first stage, Indonesia has been colonized for 290 years. During that time, almost none of higher schools were established by the colonial government. The colonial government only focused on making profits from the spices and sugar that thrive in Indonesia and sold well in Europe. At that time, Indonesian people were nothing more than slaves to the Dutch colonialists. In the first stage, 90 years after they colonized Indonesia, the Netherlands established the one and only teacher education school at the time for the next 200 years. The school is the Netherlands Zendelingen Genootschap, or NZG, in Ambon City and Minahasa City. NZG is a teacher education institution that educates indigenous Indonesians to become priests who spread Christianity, and in addition, teach them reading and writing skill. 200 years later, the colonial government established another teacher education school, namely the Holland Inlands Kweek School, or HIK. Teacher education that educates indigenous people to become a higher school teacher in basic education institution established by the Dutch for their colonized citizens. HIK was established in 10 cities in stage from 1834 to 1891. The purpose of establishing HIK was to meet the needs of higher school teachers from indigenous group who will teach in this school and prepare teachers for the elementary school. The turning point, the thing that became the turning point and the differences between the two stages was the outbreak of ethical political revolution, or the politics of reciprocation in the Netherlands, an internal revolution in the Netherlands that changed the style of Dutch colonial rule in Indonesia. The second stage of development of teacher education during the Dutch colonial period in Indonesia occurred during the last 60 years Dutch colonialism in Indonesia at 1945. At this time, the development of teacher education was very significant. The change was the establishment of a systematic higher school teacher education system to become teachers in primary, secondary, and higher school teacher education. In the second stage, the hierarchy of teacher education in Indonesia during the Dutch colonial period after the ethical political reforms in the Netherlands was structured as follows. First, the lowest rank, CVO, cursus volk onderwijzer, teacher's education in the form of 2 years of 2 years teacher training course for indigenous people with the language of instructions in the local language. Its graduates can only teach in village school. Second, normal school or NS. In the first level, formal school-based teacher education for 2 years for indigenous people of noble descent and the rich, with the Dutch and Malay as the language of instruction. Its graduated were recognized as employees of the colonial government and could teach in formal school opened by the colonial government. Third, Quake School, a 5-year second level formal school-based teacher education for indigenous people of noble descent and rich people with the language instruction in Dutch. The students are normal schools graduates, and the graduates are recognized as employees of colonial governments. Guys, graduates can teach in formal school established by colonial government, vocational school, and higher school. And the highest rank, the Hollands Inland Quake School or HIC, that's a higher school-based teacher education with duration of 6 years. Students are graduates of Quake School. HIC graduates were prepared to become school principal and teach at university established by the colonial government. Many HIC graduates eventually opened private school for indigenous people. The third phase of the development of teacher education in Indonesia occurred during the Old Order government or the reign of the first president of the Republic of Indonesia, Insinyur Soekarno, from 1945 to 1965. At this time, Indonesian education system was strongly influenced by critical pedagogical understanding, both by Indonesian nobles who were students of education or higher education in Europe. They formulated the basic concepts of Indonesian higher school education based on critical education trends that developed in Europe in 20th century. Teacher education in the Old Order era, 1945 to 1960, faced the fluctuating situation. The situation includes the post-colonial rehabilitation situation from 1945 to 1950 and the expansion situation 1950 to 1966. Both situations have their own development and pedagogical characteristics that cannot be separated from their relation to the power and politics in Indonesia. In the educational rehabilitation situation or post-colonial rehabilitation situation in 1945 to 1950, higher school teachers face an extremely difficult situation because at that time Indonesia was carrying out the war to defend the independences. So many teachers, many higher school teachers were also involved in the resistance and died on the battlefield. Many schools and universities were destroyed because we are attacked by the aggressor, the Netherlands. Despite the difficult situation, in 1947, Indonesia established the first special university for teacher education beside the legacy of colonialists. The college is called teacher school. Higher education is 4 years long, taken by students who have graduated from general high school. In the situation of expansion from 1950 to 1966, Indonesian education faced serious problems. First, an explosion of needs. At that time, Indonesia needed at least 50,000 new higher school teachers every year. However, teacher school open in various regions can only produce 15,000 of higher school teachers per year. Second, under these circumstances, higher school teacher education in Indonesia faces a critical situation and a decline in quality. To address the situation, the government carried out various emergency maneuvers in the national education policy. This maneuver includes, first, establishing teacher education university in regions as university that produce master and doctoral level graduates who can become teaching staff. Second, establishing teacher schools and course-based teacher education institution, non-higher education. That became a bad solution and imprint the latent problem for teacher education in Indonesia. The fourth phase, development of teacher education during the New Order period, 1966 to 1998. The New Order government, or the reign of the second president of the Republic Indonesia, General Suharto, 1966 to 1998. At this time, the Indonesian education system was strongly influenced by the militaristic style and dictatorship government. In this phase, higher school teacher education in Indonesia at this time can also be divided into two situations. The first situation is an emergency situation from 1966 to 1980, and the second situation is the recovery situation from 1980 to 1996. The first situation is the emergency situation from 1966 to 1980. In the first situation, the government of the military regime is oriented to, as much as possible, provide the widest possible access to the Indonesian people to obtain elementary school education. The shortage of primary school in the region was addressed as quickly and haphazardly as possible. The clear result is a deeper decline in quality. In this situation, higher school teacher education in Indonesia facing many problems and did too little to addressing them. The problem that happened in the decline and the ineffectiveness of higher school teacher education in this emergency situation include, first, learning problems. The teachers in the situation teach with limited space for movement and creative space due to the government's strict supervision of what is taught in school and university. Second, teaching problems. The return of the mental banking pedagogy mentality, which position the teacher as higher subject and as the only source in the education. 3. The problem of pedagogical and professionalism competences. Teachers at this time have a very limited understanding of pedagogy, although they have high intention and enthusiasm for service, but low professional abilities create many inherited problems in the quality of student produced by school and university. 4. Motivation problem. Teachers, higher and higher school teachers at this time have problems with their orientation to become higher school teachers or teachers, namely to become the government employees or civil servant. And receive state allowances. As a result, they submit to whatever the authorities say. The 5th problem is the standardization and the unitary issues. Teachers and schools at that time struggle to provide an education that meets a variety of stringent standards. Higher school teachers are also required to educate their students so that they can pass the national examination organized by the state, a test that determines the quality of students with questions that are completely made by the central government. And the same questions were tested in all universities, in all regions. To address that problems, government only did 2 things. First, establishing again the world solution for pedagogical development quality, course-based teacher education, which is the bad solution. Second, establishing Institute of Pedagogical Education in many regions, and this is the good step forward. In a recovery situation from 1980 to 1996, in a recovery situation, teacher education development in Indonesia have a significant advancement. This can be happen because of the aid from World Bank that support the financial needs of teacher education development programs. Second situation, in the development of higher school teacher education in the new older era was the situation of improvement. The situation of improvement began with the abolition of the course-based higher school teacher education and teacher education. And the implementation of the Competent Teachers Program or PKG, the largest teachers professional, the largest higher school teachers professional development, pedagogical competence development program in the world at that time. PKG is funded by the World Bank and provides great benefits in Indonesian education, such as opportunities for teachers or higher school teachers who have taught in university to return to learning and improve the quality of their professional and pedagogical skills. The teachers who study in this program are taught by other teachers who are selected teachers and whose professional quality has been improved by sending them abroad to Europe and America, so they can learn first-hand pedagogical skills much better in there. But in this situation, Indonesian teachers still facing several latent problems and new big problems, which becoming latent problems in nowadays situation. The problem is motivation problem. teachers at this time still have problems with their orientation to become teachers, namely to become government employees and civil servants. They want to receive state allowances. Standardization and unitary issues is second problems. Students in Indonesia still facing centralistic fit-for-all text-based national examination. And there's the new problem, neoliberalistic education problem, which make Indonesian education becoming the subordinate of the market power, becoming the slaves of market power. The fifth phase, development of Indonesian teacher education, is during the Reformation period, 1998 until the present. May 9, 1998, Indonesia again experienced a turning point in history. Great internal political upheaval occurred again and toppled the military government regime that had been in power for 32 years. This era is known as the Reform era, the era of the re-establishment of a democratic civil government in Indonesia. The Reformation era continues to this day. Development of teacher education in this phase has good and bad condition. The first good condition is we are 5-time Indonesian national education curriculum has been changed. That is good to make the development still has improvement. The second good condition of the development of Indonesian higher school teacher education during the Reformation period is now completely left to the university. The classification to become teacher both at the elementary to the high school level is now a minimum, a bachelor degree, and to become lecturer or higher school teacher at the university, minimum has a master and doctorate title. The government gave permission to many public and private universities to establish the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. The quality of teacher education also increased, and the effectiveness and uniformity of educational standard occurs. The third good condition of the development of Indonesian teacher education during the Reformation period is uprising the modern pedagogy of the 21st century. We can see it's coming from the new national educational curriculum that published in this year, 2022. Introducing modern pedagogy of 21st century with the implementation of project-based learning and personalized-based learning. But Indonesia higher school teacher education also still facing several big problems, such as neoliberalistic education. This is bad because it makes education is changing to become not more than an industry, and school becoming factories, university becoming factories to create the good employees only. The second problem is the inequality of higher school education quality. This is a serious problem because the neoliberalistic education condition is became unequal and unfair. The student in big and major cities can have good quality education, but in the remote village and islands, Indonesia, education conditions still low and substandard. The third problem is low and substandard the teachers or higher school teachers' salary. That is big problem because teachers did too much and paid far too little. And because of it, becoming teacher or higher school teacher in Indonesia is not a good career for young people. Finally, the conclusion. The conclusion of the various events and periodization that occurred in the development of higher school teacher education in Indonesia are as follows. First, pedagogical education in Indonesia cannot be separated from the religious life because from the very beginning, teacher education, higher school teacher education in Indonesia was intended to educate religious teachers. Second, short-term solution and shortcut to increase the quantity of teachers and higher school teachers are not good and healthy solution for the development of pedagogical education in the long term. Third, long-term and systematic solutions are very effective in improving the quality of a country's pedagogical education. Fourth, the development of pedagogical education cannot only be left to university and stop at the pre-training phase. There must be continuous improvement of higher school teacher competence even after a teacher has served as a teacher. I'm Diki Hermawan. See you in another video.